Hi there. Making tax digital is changing how UK taxpayers manage records. In this video, we explain how integrating MTD with self-assessment can reduce errors. Hi there.
Hello and welcome. Today, we are diving into one of the biggest changes to the UK tax system in years, making tax digital. Now I know that might sound a bit daunting, which is why we've teamed up with the absolute experts at My Tax Accountant to really break down what it all means for you and, most importantly, how you can stay ahead of the game.
You know the feeling, right? That mad dash at the end of January, hunting for receipts, trying to make sense of the self-assessment form, all while hoping you haven't made a mistake. Well, that annual panic is exactly what HMRC wants to put an end to, and for good reason. That last-minute rush leads to a staggering £5 billion in tax going uncollected, all from simple, avoidable errors. Making tax digital is their plan to fix that.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to look at why this is all happening, who it's actually going to affect, what you'll need to do differently, some of the most common pitfalls to watch out for, and of course how you can get it right from day one.
So, first things first, what is making tax digital? Well, to put it simply, it's MHRC's big plan to replace that single, stressful annual tax return. We're moving away from that one big deadline to a new system of regular digital updates which should give you a much clearer real-time picture of where you stand with your tax all the year round.
And this slide really nails the difference. I like to think of it this way. The old system was like cramming for a huge exam once a year. The new way, with MTD, is more like doing regular, smaller pieces of coursework. You're always on top of things, so there are no nasty surprises at the end of the tax year, and you can manage your money so much better.
All right, so we get the what. Now for the really important questions, the who and the when. Who exactly needs to get ready for this, and by what date? Let's dive in.
Let's just quickly break down that bit of jargon. MTD for ITSA. It just stands for Making Tax Digital for Income Tax Self-Assessment. For you, this boils down to two huge changes. One, you absolutely have to keep your records digitally. And two, you must use HMRC-compatible software to send your updates. But here's what's not changing: your tax rates and the dates you actually have to pay your tax bill. This is all about the how, not the how much.
So when does this all kick in? Well, it's a phased rollout, and it's all based on your income. If your total income from self-employment and property is over £50,000 a year, you're up first, starting in April 2026. If it's over $30,000, you'll start a year later, in April 2027. And a really key point here, that's your total gross income, your turnover or rent before you deduct any of your expenses.
Now, this is a really important detail you need to know. HMRC figures out your start date by looking back at your previous tax returns. So for that first group starting in April 2026, they'll be looking at the income you report on your 2024/25 tax return. You know, the one you file by January 2026. This is great actually, because it gives you a really clear heads up about which group you'll fall into, so you have plenty of time to prepare.
Okay, we've got the who and the when sorted. Now let's talk about the how. What does this new routine actually look like day to day? Let's map out what your year will look like under MTD.
So what's the new flow? Well, it's pretty much a four-step cycle. Step one, and this is non-negotiable, you've got to keep all your records on a computer. That's right, no more shoeboxes stuffed with receipts. Step two, every 3 months, you'll send a quick summary of your income and expenses to HMRC. Don't panic if you make a mistake, you can just fix it in your next update. And finally, by the 31st of January, you'll do what's called a final declaration. That's where you'll wrap everything up, add in any other income, and claim all your allowances. And here are the new dates to pop in your calendar. You see the pattern, right? You've got until the 7th of the month that follows the end of the quarter to get your update in. So, for the quarter ending on the 5th of July, your deadline is the 7th of August. The great thing is, your software will do the heavy lifting and generate these updates for you. And remember, they're just summaries, not a full-blown tax calculation every time.
And here's a little bit of good news for you. Originally, MTD had this extra kind of fiddly step called an end of period statement. But after a lot of feedback that it was confusing and just added more work, HMRC actually scrapped it. This makes the whole process so much cleaner. It's now just your 4 quarterly updates and that one final declaration at the end. Much simpler.
Okay, this is really the heart of our explainer today. We want to show you how to turn MTD from something you have to do into a tool that actually helps you. Let's look at the most common tripwires people fall into, and, more importantly, how you can just sidestep them completely.
So what are the big mistakes to watch out for?
Well, number one, without a doubt, is procrastination, just leaving it all to the last minute. People also get caught out assuming their trusty old spreadsheet is good enough, or they completely forget they have to actively sign up for MTD. But the two that can cause real headaches are misunderstanding digital links and just having messy records in the first place.
Okay, listen up because this one is huge. Digital links. All it really means is that your data has to flow from where you record it to HMRC electronically, without you manually typing it in again. Think of it like a sealed digital pipeline. If you have to copy and paste a number, you've broken that pipeline, and that's a big no-no under the MTD rules.
And here's a fantastic professional tip straight from our guides at My Tax Accountant. They say that copy-pasting is the easiest way to get it wrong. For example, if you're a freelancer who uses a spreadsheet, you can't just copy the total over. You'll need something called bridging software to create that secure, compliant digital link that automatically pulls the data for you.
Right, penalties. Under MTD, HMRC is introducing a new points-based system. So instead of an instant fine for a missed deadline, you get a point. It's designed to be a bit fairer. But what happens when you reach 4 points?
Well, as soon as you hit that 4-point mark, a £200 penalty is automatically triggered. And from that point on, every single late submission will cost you another 200 quid. The points only get wiped clean after a full year of perfect, on-time submissions. So it really pays to get into a good routine from the start.
But there is some good news. For that very first year, HMRC is giving everyone a bit of a soft landing. For the 2026-27 tax year, you won't receive any penalty points for late quarterly updates. This gives you a brilliant grace period to get the hang of the new system without the fear of fines. But just a word of warning, that soft landing does not apply to your final declaration or your final payment.
Okay, so let's move on from avoiding the pitfalls to really embracing the benefits. Because with the right approach, MTD isn't just another boring rule change. It can genuinely make a positive difference to how you run your business.
And this slide really shows you the why. When you get this right, you get a crystal clear, live view of your finances. Let's take an example. Think about a landlord named David, who earns £60,000 a year in rent. Instead of getting a big shock in January, under MTD, he can actually see his estimated tax bill building up each quarter. This means he can put money aside and manage his cash flow like never before. It's a game changer.
So, if you take one thing away from this today, let it be this. Preparation is everything. Yes, MRTD is a huge shift, but it's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. If you start early, pick the right tools, and get a bit of professional advice, you can make this transition not just manageable, but genuinely beneficial.
Look, trying to navigate all this on your own can feel a bit overwhelming, especially when you're busy. That's where the experts at My Tax Accountant come in. They can make this whole process seamless, from helping you choose the perfect software to managing all your submissions. They'll make sure you're compliant and as tax efficient as possible. Seriously, don't hesitate to reach out to them for some personalized support. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you and your business finances truly ready for a digital-first tax system? MTD is coming, so now is the perfect time to get prepared. For more helpful explainers just like this one, make sure you subscribe to the My Tax Accountant YouTube channel. And finally, just a quick legal note, this video is for informational purposes only and isn't a substitute for professional financial or tax advice. For guidance on your specific situation, please do speak to a qualified expert. Thanks so much for watching.